Greetings and welcome to Pickled Watermelon Rinds, a guilty pleasure podcast featuring Antie Joan and Ontie, providing our zesty and marginally mature take on current events, pop culture, and trends. Now we invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hello, Antie Joan.
Hi, Auntie.
How are you today?
I'm doing pretty gosh darn good. How about your own self?
I'm doing great because it's our 10th episode. Woohoo! Look at us go. And the crowd goes wild.
And they said we wouldn't last.
I tell you what. Auntie Joan and I are going to cheers to our
Yes.
wonderful 10th episode.
Happy
Anniversary. You hear the jingle, jingle, jingle of the ice, folks? I'm drinking a wonderful Aperol Spritz. And Auntie Joan
And
is
I
drinking.
got a Wisconsin-style Southern Comfort Old Fashioned.
Goodness gracious. That
Ooh,
sounds
it's
very
good.
boozy.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Okay.
So what's been going on in your world, Auntie Joan?
Well, I had a tub resurfacer come and patch my bathtub, and it looks brand spanking new.
Awesome sauce.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
And it smells like it smelled earlier today. It smelled like a cheap nail salon for a while
Oh.
because the chemicals they used were so strong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Very
But it looks lovely.
well, good. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Congrats.
How about you?
Oh, I took the baby boy for a walk down on
Mm,
that Clear Creek Canyon trail again, and different part of it this time. We did a little bit differently, higher up, a little bit more west, because they're doing some construction on 6, and it was it's an extensive stretch of construction. I fell into it last time we went, and I decided this time to. Well, I didn't. I was actually going to suffer through going down through the construction area. They basically have it down to one lane, but it's a really long stretch of it being one lane. Because they're widening it. They're putting in pillars, and they're going to be widening 6 as you're getting closer to Golden. It just it was I hit it right the last time I went through it. I only stopped for a couple minutes, and then we went right on through. But I was like, ugh, I don't want to go through that. I was like, we got nothing else going on today. Doesn't matter. Just chill out. Who cares? And then I started noticing the path. There was a path earlier on 6 that I saw, the walking trail. And I was like, you know what? I think we're going to stop earlier and not even go through that traffic. So that's what we did. But unfortunately,
did you like it?
well, so it was very desolate because it's not the main trailhead. So it was basically me and Killian. Which isn't terrible. I don't mind that, but there is still some snow melt going on.
no.
It wasn't slippery or anything, and it's a paved path. I started getting nervous because I'm like, if there's melt, that means that the rocks aren't stable, and there was a sign for possible falling rocks, and I was just like, yeah, let's go the other way. So we turned around and went back and started going the other way on the path, and then it was snow covered, and I was like, all right, let's just go. So we didn't go nearly as long this time.
He managed to stick it out during the whole hike, huh?
Yeah, this one was not a long one. I don't even think we were out there 25 minutes. But I mean, last week's was better. That was a good hour. But this time was only about 25 minutes. So that's all right. We'll do it again for sure.
Getting that vitamin D, huh?
Yes, exactly. Both of us getting our vitamin D. And then I told you I bought a vacuum cleaner for my dog. A grooming tool that is attached to a vacuum, and it's fantastic.
Well, I'm glad he likes it.
He loves it. He just zones out. He's so happy. He stretches his neck like, make sure you get here. Make sure you get here. He loves to be groomed. So, he loves to be brushed. I should say. I'm
Mm.
sure it feels really good. We did that for quite a while. 5 canisters full of fur.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's a beast, but super darn cute. And
So does that mean fewer trips to the groomer or?
we're going to see because it has actual grooming tools as well. So I can actually clip him and all that wonderful stuff too. So I don't know if I will. We'll see how we go. Certainly, if this replaces the grooming, it's a hell of a lot cheaper. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So we'll see, but never say never. And we had some another freak weather incident, Auntie Joan.
I'm telling you.
I tell you what, we went through a terrible windstorm out here. Hurricane force winds, some gusts between 70 to 100 miles an hour.
Yep.
It lasted
Yep.
for about 24 hours.
Oh no, it was longer than that.
Really?
Yeah. The wind. Yeah, because I think the wind started up like Friday, evening even. And then it was still going on some on Sunday.
Oh, then you had it worse than us up here. We did not have any wind on Friday night at all. I was out and about. I was actually
Mm.
hanging outside, as a matter of fact, at a friend's fire pit. So,
Well,
there-
it wasn't the 70 miles an hour, but you could tell that it was windy because I've got my wind chimes
mm-hmm,
on the
mm-hmm.
front porch and I can hear those things going. So I know it's windy enough to move those things.
Okay. Yeah, it really didn't pick up for us until about 9 o'clock Saturday morning.
Mm.
That's when it really started picking up. And then it was steady for a good chunk of the day. And then it was overnight that it really got crazy. And then Sunday morning was, I think, the worst of it, in my opinion. But
Really?
yeah, although it was Saturday early evening when the tree in my backyard
Oh,
uprooted and started its slow, thankfully slow fall on top of the house.
wow.
But thankfully, the aspens that were in front of it made the landing very gentle, just resting on the roof of the house in the garage. And then I
Have you
had
had a
another
look
tree.
at it?
What?
Have you had a look up close and personal with it?
So the downside is, of course, it fell right where I get massive drifts in my
Oh,
backyard. So I still
oh,
have big snow drifts back there. I'm not 100% sure how the guys that are coming to remove the tree this upcoming week are going to be able to do it, but hope they can because I really would like to get this thing off of my house.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So you can see it pretty well from the pictures that I had sent you, Auntie Joan,
Mm-hmm.
from the deck. I like up close to the actually where the tree fell. No, I can't get to that. I can't, but I'm hoping that the guys who come next week can.
They'll put on their snowshoes.
I hope so. And had another tree uprooted, but that one fell completely and did not hit anything. And
Mm.
then I have 3 leaning trees and 1 tree in the front yard that snapped, but not obstructing anything. It's just whatever. I mean, it'll get taken care of, but
Partway up the trunk, it
yeah.
snapped.
So it was quite the event. And we also had our local power company, not the one that I use up here in the hills, one of the largest in Colorado, had a proactive power shutoff in
Yes, they did.
anticipation of the high winds. Auntie Joan, you were slightly impacted by it. Do you want to comment on this one?
Slightly. I was slightly, but it was only off at my house for about 3 hours.
It's good.
And this is all preemptive because of the Marshall fire that they had a year and a half ago. There were lawsuits against Excel, and I think there's still some going on. So I think they're trying to CYAs, if you know what I mean.
I hear ya.
One of the largest complaints is that people didn't get enough notification that it was going to happen.
Yep.
I think I got enough. Now, I've already talked about some of my physical issues. Well, there's yet more that I haven't uncovered, and that is that I'm on supplemental oxygen, which requires either a concentrator, which is electrified, or the tanks. I had maybe 1 tank left. So if the power went out, I was going to be without oxygen coming in. So I was on the phone trying to talk to my former oxygen supplier, trying to get that squared away. But of course, it was a Saturday and they weren't open. And I did leave a message. I don't know, something happened and I didn't. Oh, well, here's what happened. I've got Comcast Xfinity and I'm on the, what do they call it? Triple play plan. I've got the internet and the TV and the phone.
All digital.
All digital. So when one goes out, well, that's not necessarily true. When the cable went out, also went out my home phone. Fortunately, I still had cell phone, but when the person called, they tried to call on the home phone.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't see that until after the power came back on.
Right.
So hopefully I'll learn from this. I'll get my button gear and get myself some supplemental oxygen tanks for emergencies like this. But somebody did say in like the Nextdoor app or whatever, if you're on oxygen, you need a generator of some sort. So that's another thing I'll be looking into.
Yeah, I mean, probably just a small one. I mean, it just depends on what you want to do because the big generators are,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, big.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can do your whole home, but they're expensive.
Now, I didn't have, like I say, I wasn't impacted that badly. When the power came on after 3 hours, I was thrilled because I could breathe again and stuff without worry.
Yeah.
I did have my portable all charged up if I needed it, but
But that only lasts
down,
for how many hours typically?
about 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. But downtown Boulder, the Pearl Street Mall, they lost their power. The traffic lights were out.
Yep.
Restaurants were closed and their refrigerators weren't working, so they lost their food there. There's been a lot of complaints about what they did it. And somebody even thought that maybe Boulder County or wherever was affected by were like a test case to see what happens. Like if we go crazy, as I said, Excel doesn't get mad, they get even.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's
But
pretty much what they did.
Yeah, I think so too. Although 200,000 customers lost power, 55,000 supposedly were affected by the planned shutdown, but the rest were due to power poles coming down and stuff like that, supposedly.
Very true.
And once I did get my power back on, then I didn't have my cable, so I couldn't watch any TV shows, and I couldn't figure out how to operate my DVD player anymore. I don't know where the remote is, so I don't use DVDs anymore. I still have some, but I don't use them.
Yeah.
Public Utilities has started an investigation into this. Public Utilities Commission.
Yeah, as I think they should. I think it was a little much for Excel to do what they did. I think it should have been a little bit more regionalized. We had just had up in the hills about, 4.5 to 5 feet of snow, depending on where you were.
Right.
And so the town I used to live in, Netherland, is an Excel energy region. They were also included in the power outage, and they did not have the fortune of only losing power for 3 hours. They lost power for upwards of 24 to 40 hours, depending on where people were.
Wow.
And without having, and they canceled school at very last minute as a result, because they were, first Excel had said that the power would go off at 3 o'clock on Saturday and be restored by, 11 o'clock the next morning or noon the next day or whatever the heck it was.
I think it was noon. Yeah.
And clearly was not the case specifically for the Netherland region. Others were in the same boat.
Others also,
Yeah, I just don't have specific data. I'm just getting all my information off of Facebook groups and things like that. Yeah, so they were out for quite some time, and it was cold up here. I mean, it was no joke cold. So if you didn't have secondary heat source of some kind, like a wood burning stove, you're really cold. I don't even know what else to say.
Yeah.
And the community center was only open during day hours, light hours, I guess I should say. By 8 o'clock at night, it was closed. So the community center was there for people during the day, for people to go charge things and get water and things like that. There really was no disaster services. Like they didn't have anywhere people could go and stay. And that's what they were hoping the community center was going to be able to provide. But they couldn't do that until something was declared an emergency of some kind or disaster or whatever. And it has to actually come from the county. So Netherland can't just make that call themselves, which people were up in arms about. Because had been so much snow up here, the likelihood of a wildfire was very small. Or very small for getting out of control, I guess I should say. I mean, I'm sure it could spark. The fact that our ground was so wet up here,
Yeah.
That thing wasn't going anywhere.
And that was in the also in the statement that the Boulder County Sheriff put out, that the conditions weren't the same, that we
Correct.
had the big massive snowfall like a week or two before.
Right.
So it wasn't as tinder dry as it had been when we had the Marshall fire.
That's right. So I think Excel was, doing lots of CYA because of the Marshall fire and the suing and things like that. Also a little, middle finger to those who were suing them from the Marshall fires.
Yeah, yep.
And apparently there's been others. I think there was something in Texas, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, that's what my neighbor said.
Yeah.
I haven't looked into it
I
yet,
haven't looked into it either. I just heard rumors
that
of
was
it.
mostly grass fire, though, from what he told me.
Yeah. Right.
So.
Right. I don't know. I think they've got a lot of explaining to do.
You got a lot of splaining to do, Edith.
But Antie Joan being without cable service, that was like the big news, because you know how we love our TV.
Yeah, and after the power came on, I was just grateful to have that.
Yes.
So I wasn't, that annoyed. I mean, I was annoyed, but I don't know, I was kind of mellow about it too. But
Nice.
after my cable came on and the phone came back, my next door neighbors, it was still the next day before they got theirs. And I haven't asked them why. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, I don't know.
You guys were using the same lines. It's very strange.
Yeah, I wonder if something happened inside. I asked them if they turned on and off their modem, and they said, yeah, we've unplugged it. We've done everything several times, but still. So I need to get in touch with them and find out.
Yeah. Interesting.
So that's my excitement and yours.
Yes, indeed. I did do a little line dancing with the AARP.
Did you?
Virtual. Yes. It was fun. It was an hour long, and she, taught the steps, and then we actually did the dances. Time flew by, and it was just silly fun. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do this again.
Well, it looks like a fun thing to do. And I was looking around because I saw a YouTube thing of these ladies dancing to Bruno Mars' Uptown Funk. They had a whole routine.
Uptown
yeah.
Funk you up.
Yeah. And it was so good. And I thought, oh, man, I would love to get into a little group like that.
We'll see. Do the AARP line dancing. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, I'd rather go and participate.
Like be in person?
Yeah.
Ew,
yeah.
No.
Oh, Auntie.
With people?
People who need people.
Who need people.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Now we're on to the part of our program where we talk about what we are watching.
You tell me, Auntie. What are you watching?
Well, normally this would be an Antie Joan topic, but I also watched this series. No, because I also watched this series.
Oh,
it is the final season of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I felt like we needed to talk about this one.
Absolutely.
So, Larry David.
Love him.
I do adore him. However, it is hard for me to watch him laugh. He looks like a skeleton laughing.
Doesn't he?
I think he looks very frail to me. I feel like a strong wind would knock him over, like that wind we had, the 70 to 100 miles an hour. He's, supposedly Mr. Healthy Eating, but he just looks anorectic to me.
Yeah, he does.
Skin and bones. Yeah. And he concerns me. I had my concerns about this final season. And they were mostly realized.
Yes, they were.
I almost turned it off because I was so aggravated. The very last episode, because I was so aggravated. Because it was so much like Seinfeld, as I predicted it was going to be.
Yes, you did predict that.
Now, it didn't fully. I don't want to do spoilers. Well, actually, by the time folks hear this, it's probably okay.
And there's tons of articles out there already about it, too.
So honestly, right up until the last 5 minutes, I was very, very agitated. And
Mhm.
when I saw him sit in that jail cell, I'm like, I swear to God, we can't have this again. So it didn't end that way. It did end differently, but it was so paralleled that I'm like, you got to have more creativity than this, man. Come on.
Well, Larry David has been quoted as saying, I'm 76 and I still haven't learned, and I haven't learned anything.
Yeah,
So,
clearly, clearly, because it was just a rinse and repeat of Seinfeld. Like I said, 90% of it was a rinse and repeat of Seinfeld.
so 90% was it for the entire episode or just for that segment at the
Season.
end? Oh, the season.
The
Okay.
season. I mean, it was a different premise with the whole giving somebody a bottle of water while they
Mm-hmm.
were in line to vote
Mm-hmm.
in Atlanta. Well, not that one episode that we chatted about briefly that I just can't watch Larry David give anybody cunnilingus, and
Oh,
certainly not for that
oh.
length of time. And
Yeah,
going
he's
back to the
76
jokes and
years old.
him having sex on the show it freaked me out every time. Like he's not. I mean, it was just like Jerry. Jerry had dates and was dating somebody every episode was a new woman. And it's like Jerry's not all that in the bag of chips. He's funny, don't get me wrong, funny, funny, funny. Love him dearly, but he's not that great at looking a guy. And the way that he just was supposedly getting all these women, I'm just like, really, I don't know.
And that's kind of what's JB Smooth's
Oh my
character?
God, I adore JB Smoove.
He
He
caught on to
is,
that.
I just adore him. I adore him. I adore him. I adore him. No matter what he's in, I love him. On the talk shows, he is I adore him. I can't really honestly say enough about him. Sorry, what were you saying about JB Smoove?
Well, he his character kind of picked up on that whole different
Yes.
woman every week and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the tapes.
Yes. Yes. Eh,
I
yeah.
didn't watch Seinfeld.
Mm,
So this was not like a repeat to me. I had
yeah.
not seen any of that stuff before.
Yeah. I mean, even them being on a plane, like all of it, all of that was Seinfeld. The whole thing
Huh.
was Seinfeld. Again, it took a different turn, but regardless, it was so paralleled that I did not enjoy that. But I do love Jeff Garland. I do love Susie Essman. I think their character, Susie is hysterical. She's just,
Yeah, she's kind of gotten on my nerves though a
oh,
lot of times
really?
because all she does is just
Yell at
she
them.
yells all the time,
She
and
yells
it
at
just
them.
yeah, and it's too one dimensional
Mm,
or two dimensional, whatever, but it's not three dimensional.
no. And the late Richard Lewis, it was hard to see him in this
Yeah.
final season as well. He was very frail.
What do you know if he had some disease or something before?
I believe he did. I forget. I did read it when he passed, but I didn't retain it, unfortunately. But yes, he had been sick, which was
Because
evident in the series.
well, the I think the official cause was he had a heart attack.
I don't
So
remember. I can't. I
no,
can't say.
no,
I don't remember. Like I said, I
no. He
read it the
looked
day it
like
happened, but
yeah, he looked like he had some other type of. I was thinking cancer or something. He'd gotten so thin and drawn
yeah.
and stuff. And he's talking about picking up women like Alice and
I
Janney.
know that she loves me, and I'm like, does she? Died in Los Angeles. Community starred. Oh, it does say heart due to a heart attack. That's what Variety says. I didn't think it was. He had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
Yeah, I didn't think that caused that kind of weight loss and
I don't know.
shrinkage. Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
There
Yeah.
was I sent you. There's a link to a review that a guy did or a summary. Now, where was I going with this? Never mind. I'll remember.
You'll remember. It'll come back to you. Oh, he said, yeah, I guess he had 3 surgeries in 2021 as well. Richard
Mm.
Lewis. Yeah, it didn't say what those surgeries were for. He announced that he would not appear in season 11 of Curb in order to recover from 3 surgeries. Then he surprised viewers by returning to set for one season 11 episode.
Well, he was in a couple.
Season 11,
Oh,
previous season.
oh,
Season
oh,
12 was the
oh,
last
oh,
one.
oh, okay.
Um,
Yeah, now I remembered what I was going to say.
okay.
In that review, before I was interrupted,
Yeah.
they showed a film clip of Susie Essman and Cheryl and Richard
Mm-hmm.
talking to the cast and the crew and stuff. And Richard was very moved by the fact that everybody, treated him so well. And he made a point of mentioning that, which was really kind of touching.
So yeah, I've actually never really been that big of a fan of Curb Your Enthusiasm to begin with,
Oh,
but I really did not like the last season. The last year, yeah, the last season, season 12. That one was probably the worst for me out of all of them. It was more of
what?
one of those I'd put it on, I'd fall asleep
Mm,
because I didn't watch it all the time. So I went back and started from the beginning kind of thing. And I would fall
mm,
asleep and I didn't really care that I missed whatever I missed. I didn't go back and rewatch anything that I fell asleep to, let's put it that way, which is usually reserved for things that I've seen a million times that cuz I don't usually care
mm-hmm.
cuz I don't have to go back and but for his stuff I didn't feel like it was really necessary for me to go back and rewatch anything. So I thought it was fine. I wasn't an enthusiast of Curb Your Enthusiasm, but the last season I really was not happy with because of how much it was very much like Seinfeld. Because
Hey.
that was the same. So in Seinfeld, Antie Joan, there was a court case brought against them for doing, they were on a plane, they had to make an emergency landing. I won't get into all that crap. They were on their way to Paris. They ended up doing emergency landing somewhere in Massachusetts, and I can't remember the name of the town that they landed in. It wasn't Logan though, because they were flying private, so there was some small field
Mm,
somewhere that they stopped in. They were waiting for the plane to get fixed from the emergency landing, and they went into town and they looked across the street and a large gentleman was being robbed, and instead of helping him in any way, they were just cracking jokes about it. And Kramer was videotaping because with one of those big video
yeah.
cameras from back in the
Oh,
day,
yeah. Yeah.
and was recording what was going on. They're cracking jokes and laughing and blah blah blah. And when the robber ran away, the policeman shows up. The victim talks to the policeman, and they end up arresting Jerry, Elaine, George, and Kramer for the bystander law because they didn't offer to help in any way. They didn't
Oh,
call the
oh,
police. They didn't
oh.
try to help so there was and I don't know if that's true. It was truly a law or is truly a law in Massachusetts. It might be, considering the water bottle
Hmm.
thing was a real law. So maybe it was something that was real. I'd never heard of it before. But yes, you have to, if you witness a crime, you're supposed to attempt to help in some way. They called it the bystander law or something like that. So they went on trial, and all the previous people that were in Seinfeld, guest appearances or
Hmm.
recurring
Hmm.
characters, were all came to testify against them, just like in
Yeah,
Curb.
yeah. Oh, I
And
love that part in Curb.
that was fun in the finale of Seinfeld, I have to say. But I didn't need to see it again in Curb. That was the funny part. But they end up getting convicted in Seinfeld and they go to their prison cell. It ends with them the four of them in the same prison cell, which of course is
Hmm. Hmm.
ridiculous because that doesn't happen. But that's how it ended, that them being in jail. So that's why when Jerry came to get Larry out of jail, because at first it was ending exactly like Seinfeld where he was in a jail cell. Then Jerry came to get him and say, "Oh, it all got thrown out," blah blah. And they walked away and ended up
Hmm.
back on a plane, and yeah, and blah blah blah. So that's how closely paralleled it
Yeah.
was.
Wow.
Definitely more people came back to testify in Seinfeld than they did in Curb. Regardless, it was the same premise over again. And I was just like, have an original thought, people.
Now, I didn't start watching Curb Your Enthusiasm when it first came out. I think
Oh.
I've probably watched it like the last 6, 7 years.
Mm.
And I've enjoyed it. I like the sarcasm, and I like how Larry David says aloud what most of us think
Mm-hmm.
in certain situations. But I have to agree with you. This last season, I was not a big fan of. It was almost like they were even just taking the characters and blowing up the characterness of them
Mm-hmm.
rather than dealing with a story or something original. So
Yeah.
I agree with you about the last episode, last season.
Yeah. And Larry David was on Smartless with
Yeah, yeah, that
Jason
was good.
Bateman, Will Arnett, Sean Hayes. He did
Oh,
say
yes.
that when he's out and about and people run into him, you know, I did like how the boys all, like, it must be so nice to go out and just be able to say whatever the hell you want because people are just expecting it from you because you were on the
Hmm.
series and blah blah. And Larry David said, yeah, they actually get mad or annoyed when I'm not as curmudgeon as I was in Curb. And I'd be surprised because I think Larry is pretty close to that in real life,
I would
personally.
think so, but one thing I did not like hearing in that Smartless
Mm.
was how Larry managed to get out of the reserves in the
No, I
70s.
agree. He basically pretended that he wanted to commit suicide, got a psychiatrist, a known psychiatrist to help GIs getting out of
Oh, was he?
active service, yes. And so he went to him, but Larry, laid it on thick. And then the psychiatrist and him went in front of the military board, whatever the hell
Yeah,
that is.
yeah.
He, put on such a performance that there at the end, somebody in the military just said, "Are you okay to drive home?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, are you okay to drive?" Basically. And he's like, "Oh yeah," because he was faking the whole thing.
Yeah, anybody who's lost someone from that war
Yes.
probably would not be very thrilled to hear Larry make that statement. And my opinion of him kind of dropped a bit after that.
Not only the war, but just anybody who's lost anybody to suicide. And to use that as an
Yeah,
excuse
true,
to get
true.
out of something. I gotta believe Larry's not high on a lot of people's lists after sharing that story. But he said he had already told it on Howard Stern, or
Oh, yeah. I don't listen to
I
Howard
don't
Stern.
either. But it
Yeah,
sounded like it wasn't the first time he's told this
yeah,
story. So I don't. All I'm saying is I don't think he got much backlash the first time, considering he told it again.
yeah.
So I don't know. But yes, I did not appreciate that either. I agree.
Now, I did like when, when they brought in their witnesses for that trial, like
Mm-hmm.
seeing Mocha Joe again
Mocha
and
Joe was
go through,
awesome.
like, through the coffee shop fiasco.
That was
And
awesome.
Alexander Vindman,
Who's that?
he had seen him making seen Larry making a phone deal to get the wall thing around his pool.
Oh, I do vaguely
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
that. Yeah.
And so then Alexander ended up like turning him in or testifying against him back then
Right,
in
right, right.
that show. Yeah. And then Tracy Ullman, I love her.
Oh, she was the best. She was the best.
And then Bruce Springsteen. I didn't realize he used the F word so much. Shame on you, Bruce.
I did like the episode with Bruce Springsteen. I did find that one pretty funny.
It was.
Who gave who COVID,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he had to cancel his show, and how much yeah. Oh God, that was fun. And that no, yeah, it was the masseuse who thought he wanted a happy ending.
Ew.
Gross. David, ew. So
And they make it sound so normal. Like, of course, anybody that looks like them is going to
right.
still be in their prime.
Ugh.
Get out of here.
Get out of here. I
Yeah.
agree. So yeah, I'm kind of happy it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll go back and watch them again. Not this season so much as.
Yeah.
And I did like the premise of the whole giving JB Smooth's mom the water in line to get
Yes.
to vote. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. I do have to say that it was actually I forgot what I was going to say, so I'm just never I got
Join the
nothing.
club.
I got nothing. I don't remember. I do like that Ted Danson came off as, Mr. Everybody Loves Me, and I think that's hysterical. I really do. I loved when they put him in the cop car because he got arrested doing the protesting, and they were all trying to take pictures with him. And then they went to go put him in the cop car. He's like, "Don't touch the hair." freaking awesome.
It's funny how those characters, how he chose those actors.
Yes,
I mean, Cheryl Hines.
I know, right? She was perfect for the role.
Yeah, she was.
I
She
thought. No,
was. Yeah, yeah, no, she was.
I
Yeah,
thought she was. I thought she did a good job.
a little annoying, but
Really? Oh, I didn't
mm,
find her annoying.
I like Jeff.
Oh, Jeff, yeah.
Yeah.
He's so good. Oh, yeah. So that's our take on Curb Your Enthusiasm final season.
Hasta
Series
la
finale.
vista,
Hasta la
Curb.
vista, baby.
Maybe you'll get onto something more original.
Please. That would be fantastic. Original thoughts, folks. Original thoughts.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Welcome back. And now we're on to the part of our program where we discuss commercials we have to talk about. Auntie Joan, what you got?
Carvana. The commercial with Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard. Is that his name?
Dax Shepard.
Yeah, I don't really know much about him.
He's delicious.
Is he?
Mm-hmm.
Well, okie doke. That is one of the most annoying commercials, almost as bad as the Jardians. Hold. Hold.
Yeah. I do love them as a couple. I love them all their work individually, and I love them as a couple. But that commercial is unbelievably annoying.
Yes, it is. Thank you. I'm glad to hear. I have a kindred spirit. Because I know you
Indeed.
like him. I
Oh.
knew you liked him. Yeah.
Yeah, and I loved her since Veronica Mars. She was in a
Oh,
series called
never watched
Veronica Mars where she was a teenager who was solving crime. Yes, it
She
was
was a
actually really
teenager?
good.
Wow.
Her father was a private investigator, and she would help him out quite a bit. Yeah, it was really good. Veronica
Huh.
Mars. Good series. A good one to binge, Auntie Joan, if you haven't seen it. It's older. I mean, I even went and saw the movie in the movie theater with Auntie Bethy, because Auntie Bethy actually donated money to make the movie happen.
She did?
Mm-hmm. We got T-shirts. And I think I still have my Veronica Mars T-shirt.
Huh.
Yes, but she's been in quite a few things that I've enjoyed. So I do really like her. She's been in lots of movies and stuff.
I remember her most from House of Lies.
Yes, so good.
She was quite a colorful character
She
in
was a little
that.
tart in that one.
She sure was,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of surprised me.
So good, John. Oh, and Don Cheadle.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love Don Cheadle.
I do
think he's
too,
So
but-
good.
Yeah.
He was on Smart List a little while ago too.
Oh, was he?
I should send you that one too.
Oh, I can find it.
It was good. He's so good. I just like him in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a good show.
Yes, it was. I agree.
I
100%.
actually used to work for a management consultant company when I first got out of the high school.
Oh.
But they were nothing like that. This was back, of course, 1966, before people were so open about their dalliances.
That's right. So yeah, and Dax. Oh, and she was also in The Good Place. I didn't watch that.
Yeah, I
with
didn't
Ted
either.
Danson.
Oh, he was in that too, huh?
Mm-hmm.
The Forevermore.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, I've got it open.
What?
Momsplaining. She was in Heroes. Gossip Girl.
She was the voice in Gossip Girl. She wasn't actually a character on it. She was
okay.
the overlaying voice when they would read the. She was the Gossip Girl voice. That's to describe it.
Okie doke. Yeah, she's got quite a resume.
Yes, I find her to be very funny. I really do like her.
Yeah.
And I can imagine that household between her and Dax. That must just be ridiculous. Those kids are probably so excited to have them as parents.
Oh, they probably could care less.
Just because they're silly.
Their mom and dad. I mean,
True.
Come on.
But
They're
they are
probably.
a silly, silly couple. They are just very funny. But the two of them together. But Dax most recently was in Bless This Mess, which is a very short-lived series. I think it was only two seasons. But it was so good. I was so sad when it went off the air.
Oh.
It had Ed Begley Jr. in it, who is
yeah.
ridiculously awesome. Unbelievably good.
Yeah, he's good.
And it was just about a small town in Nebraska. Dax and his wife, who actually wrote everything, and she's something else Bell, but she's not related to Kristen Bell.
Huh.
Yeah, I forget her first name. Anyway, she wrote and I don't know if she directed, but she was the creator of the show. She was also his wife in the show. And they lived in New York, and he had a family member, an aunt, I believe, who passed away. And she lived in Nebraska and left him the farm. And they were all excited from the picture. And then they got there. It was a dilapidated shack. They had to fix it all up. They didn't know what they were doing, completely out of their element from coming from the city. You know, neighbors who want to buy the farm, and they try to grow stuff. They don't know what they're doing, you know, and all that wonderful stuff. It was silly fun. It was a very good, and Ed Begley Jr. lived in their barn, which had no toilet or shower. So he would go into their house whenever he wanted to use the toilet and the shower.
Oh, kind of like JB Smooth.
Kinda. It was a good show. I really enjoyed
What was that?
it.
What
It
was
was
it
called Bless This Mess.
Oh,
They're little, 25-minute episodes without commercials. So if you so chose to check it out, no laugh tracks. You don't have to worry about that.
Oh.
And there's a story to it as well. So it's story and silly fun. And yeah, it was very sad when that went off the air. It was such a good show. But that's the most recent thing that he was in that I can think of.
Well, as far as the product goes, Carvana.
Yeah, what is Carvana? It's like is it like
They
a
buy
CarMax?
and sell. They
CarMax? Yeah.
buy and sell cars.
Okay.
And when I was trying to figure out what to do with Larry's 2005 Dodge Magnum, I went to their website and I put in all the particulars to see what they would offer, because they come and pick it up and all that stuff. I think it was about somewhere between $300 and $600 they were offering me for that. Yes.
What?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. So that really turned me off to it. So having that history with it and then seeing those commercials. But to prepare for this episode, I did a little look up on Carvana and what people are saying about it. And some people are very happy with what they got. But they're, more recent cars, and some other people had complained about not liking the way they were treated or things like that. So there are some good and some bad, but my own personal experience was not gonna do it. I've got a neighbor who is in property management, and he also sells homes, but he does property management also. I went on a day-long quilt retreat, and I met a lady there who used to live on the street behind me. Oh. And her husband had died like a year, 2 years before that. And she said that this particular neighbor had come over to offer to buy the house that she was wanting to move and, downsize and all that stuff. And she said the offer that he gave her was just insulting. What he went to offer her. So, yeah, that didn't surprise me, though. Yeah. People want to make the buck.
Yep.
The holy dollar.
That tells you what. I was always curious about those Carvana, CarMax kind of things, and sounds like they're not the greatest.
Yeah, and I guess, when you go to their website, they have questions you answer, like, what year or what engine, and has it ever been in an accident and stuff like that. And then once they give you an offer, then either they will come out to your house for $75 extra, or you can go to one of their locations, and then they'll really look over the car, and the price can change. They can say, well, no, it's not in the condition we thought it was, so we're going to lower the offering price that we're giving you. But a couple of the people said, no, their cars were in good condition, and the price that they had quoted them online was the same. So works for some and not for others.
Right. Seems like if you have a more recent car that's in, tip-top shape, you might actually get a halfway decent deal. But if you have an older vehicle that you can go out to Kelley Blue Book anytime and see what, what something is worth. And if they come undercut that so significantly, then...
Oh, they did?
Yeah. Then they just clearly don't want older vehicles. Or they're hoping that you're desperate enough just to give it to them for that low price, and they'll turn around and resell it for whatever, how much.
But this car had a Hemi, and the Blue Book was somewhere between $2,000 and $5,000, I think.
Right.
The low being 2,000. So, and he had low mileage and everything. So,
yeah, boo on them. All right, Auntie Joan. Anything else you wanted to bring up with our listener today?
I think that pretty much wraps it up.
All right, then. Well, it sounds like we are at a close to our episode this week. This is Auntie signing off.
And Auntie Joan.
You all have a great day.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. We thank you for listening. And remember, when life eats away at your core, make pickled watermelon rinds.